So just the way we have seen the Amazon Fine Foods dataset, let us look at another very interesting dataset called the Donors Choose dataset, right? So this dataset is provided to us by donorschoose.org, which is a non-profit charitable organization. And I'll give you some background about the problem they do, or the problem that we want to solve for them, right? So before we go there, let's understand what is Donors Choose. So if you go and check out their website, right? So this is their website. This is basically a platform where anyone can support a classroom and a teacher with some resources. For example, this is what they clearly mention about themselves. So they started in 2000 by a high school teacher, and this is Donors Choose basically empowers public school teachers from across the United States to request materials, money, resources, etc. Right? So anyone can fund a project that is close to their heart. For example, this is like a Chromebook center. Probably they need some donation or some financial resources for this to happen. Here they're looking for some positive behavioral role model students, some rewards for them and things like that. So these are all various various projects done in public schools. So these are all these all are projects done in public schools across the United States which require some funding from donors. So donors can choose and pick up which project is closest to their heart and fund them, right? So that's what Donors Choose does. It's basically a non-profit that helps donors, say as the name suggests, it helps donors choose a school project that they want to fund and support. That's what they do in a nutshell, right? So what they do, what the way it works at Donors Choose is they receive hundreds of thousands of project proposals every year from many teachers across the United States, right? They get a lot of project proposals. A project could be that we want to fund a new computer science lab, or we want to fund this new robotics competition, or we want to fund this new chemistry lab, or we want to conduct this competition, or we want to give scholarships to our top 3 students in physics and things like that, right? So there are tons of projects that are proposed by teachers across the United States, and donors can choose to fund some of them, right? So the way it works is, I'm sorry, the way it works is they have Donors Choose has a large number of volunteers, right, who manually screen each of these project proposals. They literally go through manually. These volunteers go through these hundreds of thousands of project proposals after submission to approve whether this project is reasonable or not. If so, it will be shown on the Donors Choose website, right? So you basically have a teacher. The way it's working right now is you have a teacher who is making a project proposal, right? Who makes a project proposal. Now, as soon as a proposal comes into existence, typically a volunteer, so a volunteer typically looks at this proposal. This proposal will contain a lot of text data and a lot of other data. We'll come to the data in a while. Volunteer basically looks at this proposal and says whether this proposal is either approved, right? This proposal is either approved or not approved. If it is approved, this project proposal will be available or will be seen on the Donors Choose website for donors to provide the resources required, right? And it's a very interesting problem. The problem here is because they are getting hundreds of thousands of project proposals, manually screening all of them. Even if you have a large number of volunteers, literally reading through each of these proposals manually and then manually approving them or not approving them takes a lot of human effort, right? Just to give you an example, the donorschoose.org is expected to receive 500,000 project proposals. Close to 500,000 projects have been proposed, are expected to be proposed. Now, there are multiple problems here. Imagine with the current scale, a number of volunteers, it is very hard to go through 500,000 project proposals quickly and efficiently, right? So what Donors Choose wants us to do is they've shared the data about a large number of these project proposals, and they want us to use state of the art in natural language processing and machine learning right? So we have learned some basics of natural language processing like bag of words, TF-IDF, word to vectors, etc., right? So they want us to use some of these natural language processing tricks that we learned. Also the machine learning techniques that we learn, some of the ones that we learned like TSNE and visualization, TCA, etc. Also more interesting ones that we learn throughout the course. They want us to leverage these skills that we have to to automate these proposal approval process, right? So in a nutshell, what are we doing? We are trying to automate, or at least partially automate, if not fully, partially automate the proposal approval process, right? So proposal approval process, this is what we want to achieve. And they give a bunch of reasons. But in a nutshell, because you're getting lots of project proposals and you have a limited number of volunteers, if you can somehow, the goal of this competition here is to predict whether or not a project proposal submitted by a teacher, right? Because it's the teachers who are submitting these projects, as I explained a while ago, right? The whole concept is, given a project proposal by a teacher, will it be approved or not by volunteers, or will it be approved or not by the volunteers? That's what, if we can identify this using the information given for each project, we'll see what data set we have available for each project. But if we can predict fairly well on this problem, then this is extremely useful for donor's choice, right? If we know with very high certainty that a given project will be approved, we might as well approve it and put it on the website, right? If we know with very high likelihood that a project will not be approved, we might not even send it to a volunteer. We can send it back to a teacher and say, we don't think this will be approved, please modify it, or please edit it, or give us more details and things like that. And if a project proposal is not sure, if you're not sure whether it will be approved or not, then we can send it to our volunteers. If you're not very certain, then we can send it to our volunteers who can read the whole project proposal, understand what the problem is, and then either approve it or not approve it, right? So this is a very standard task where machine learning can help scale human efforts, right? So that's what this problem, that's a background about this data set of donors choose, where again we'll come to what the exact data set is. It has a lot of text, so it's a very nice platform for us. It's a very nice data set for us to learn a lot about natural language processing problems, also apply some of the techniques that we learned in this chapter.